Hey, are you sure you're supposed to be here? What is going on, guys? My name is Sid Jackson. If this is your first time to the channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing. So in this video, I want to talk about the best meals for breaking your fast. So I think it's important to mention that there's going to be a high degree of variability in what's actually considered best. And at the end of the day, there's really no right or wrong answer, and it comes down to what works best for you. So I think when it comes to determining which meal is going to be the most optimal for breaking your fast, you really need to ask yourself two questions. The first is this meal going to make me feel satiated? Am I going to feel full and satisfied after consuming this meal, or am I going to feel the need to consume additional food? The second question you need to ask is this meal going to make me feel sluggish? So the last thing you want is to have your first meal of the day and then start to feel really sluggish and as if you need to take a nap. In the middle of the day, that's not gonna be optimal. So whether your first meal is small, medium, or large, it's really gonna come down to what works best for you. Again, asking yourself the two questions: does this meal make me feel satiated? And does this meal not make me feel sluggish? Those are the two most important things. My most optimal meal for breaking the fast is going to be in the 400 to 500 calorie range. So I like to start my day, or start my feeding window rather, with a meal that's a little bit more on the smaller end. So in addition to having 400 to 500 calories, I also like to make sure my first meal has between 40 and 50 grams of protein. I have found this size meal with this quantity of protein to be the most optimal for, number one, making me feel satiated, and number two, not making me feel sluggish. So for a long time, I had a tendency to avoid breakfast foods, and I did so for a couple of reasons. The first being, I tend to break my fast around lunchtime, so anywhere in that 12 to 1 o'clock window. So naturally, I gravitated towards more savory foods that most people would eat at lunch. Another reason was because most traditional breakfast foods have a tendency to be lower in protein and higher in carbs. So in order to get that same feeling of satiety, you have to consume larger quantities. And at least for me, and I've heard the same from others, when you consume these really high calorie, high carb breakfasts, all it does is make you want to go back to bed. And that's not how I'm trying to feel, and that's not what I'm trying to do when I'm trying to go and have a productive day. So I have a tendency to get on these kicks. If I find something that works well for me, I usually stick with it. So right now, I'm actually on a protein French toast kick. So this meal contains between 400 and 500 calories, between 40 and 50 grams of protein, and it checks both of those boxes of allows me to feel satiated and allows me to feel satiated without also feeling sluggish. So this has been a great meal for me as of late for breaking my fast. Another meal that I've started to eat a little bit more lately to break my fast is protein pancakes. Now this alternative recipe is absolutely delicious. They're super fluffy pancakes, but they also, again, have between 400 and 500 calories and contain 40 to 50 grams of protein. Checking both boxes once again for making me feel satiated but not making me feel sluggish. So another recipe that I recently came up with is actually for protein crepes. So I'm able to scratch that itch for sweet breakfast foods, but also check both my boxes of having a meal that contains between 400 and 500 calories and also the 40 to 50 grams of protein. This is what works for me. It may not necessarily be what works for you, and it's all a matter of trial and error. So some people like to break their fast with a large meal, consuming the bulk of their calories at the beginning of their eating window, while others like myself like to save the majority of their calories for later in the day, and not just their calories, but their carbs, because it allows them to reduce those late night cravings and also prevent themselves from going to bed hungry. And that's the worst part about any diet, in my opinion, is feeling like you have to go to bed hungry. And when you use intermittent fasting as a tool and you strategically plan out your meals, those are things that you just, quite frankly, don't have to deal with. Work smarter, not harder. So reiterating once again, it's all about finding what works best for you. I tend to favor a smaller sized meal between 400 and 500 calories that's also high in protein, so 40 to 50 grams of protein, because it allows me to feel satiated and satiated without also feeling sluggish. If you guys got value from this video, be sure to throw it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Once again, my name is Sid Jackson. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.